This isn't a story. This is a warning. I'm breaking a silence I swore to keep because I don't think I can carry it anymore. I don't care if you don't believe me, though deep down you will. Because once you hear this, you'll start to notice things. And once you notice them, they notice you. So listen, this isn't some internet creepypasta or a ghost story told around a campfire. This is a survival manual for a threat that shouldn't exist. For something ancient. Something that knows we're curious and hungry for wonder. There are things in this world that want to be found. They put themselves somewhere you can't ignore, out of place yet perfectly framed, like a glitch in reality that's just subtle enough to pass as a joke. Curiosity, a strange little secret you'll pretend you stumbled upon by chance, when really it was waiting for you. In the woods, especially the deep woods, you may come across something that doesn't belong. Something so wrong it cancels out the sounds around it. No birds, no wind, just a feeling, that silence, that pressure behind your teeth. They look like stairs, just stairs, sometimes made of wood or rusted iron, sometimes just cement, leading to nowhere, naked against the trees, like ruins from a house that never existed. People take pictures of them, post them for internet clout. Haha, spooky. But they're not abandoned architecture. They're bait. If you see them, do not climb. Don't touch them. Don't go near them. Don't look for them just to prove me wrong. Burn them if you can, and if you can't, run, because they see through the eyes of those who stand on them. And if something ancient sees you, it knows your name. I didn't believe it either, not the first time. Not until I saw someone climb. They laughed. Just a few harmless steps up. Half a joke. But something happened. Something I can't forget. Something I don't think was ever fully human again. I tried to stay away. Ignore it. Rationalize it. But the forest changed. I changed. And now I feel whatever's behind those stairs watching me again. Waiting. I'm not telling you this because I want to. I'm telling you this because I have to. I guess I should start at the beginning, before the forest changed, before the stairs. Before everything went wrong, the forest was the only place that felt right. I used to think you could measure a year by how often your hands touched dirt, by the number of times you traded the buzz of city traffic for birdsong and pine needles. That's how I kept my mental calendar: weekends in the woods, volunteering as a trail ranger, picking up trash, clearing deadfall, logging storm damage. Nothing glamorous, just quiet work that made the world feel a little more honest. I got into it during a rough patch. My job was slowly grinding me into dust. I'd wake up more tired than when I went to bed. There were days the walls of my apartment felt like they were breathing, tightening, watching. I needed space, simplicity, something real. That's where the forest came in. Nature doesn't care what degree you have or whether your emails are piling up. Out here, there's light filtered through trees and soil that forgives your footsteps. The world slows down, and you remember you're part of it. I wasn't alone out there either. My hiking partner, Joel, was everything I wasn't: grizzled ex-search and rescue, full of survivalist grit and dry humor. The kind of guy who could coax fire from wet bark and tell you which mushrooms would kill you just by smell. We met during ranger orientation. He thought I looked like someone who'd get eaten by a bear. I thought he looked like someone who had eaten a bear. Somehow we clicked. Most weekends we'd head out early, before the trailhead filled with tourists. We had our favorite spots. Overlooks no one else bothered to find. Streams that had wild trout. Clearings that smelled like the earth had just exhaled. Those mornings stayed with me. the air cool enough to bite your lungs, that golden light slanting through branches, the layered quiet, not silence, but the hushed rhythm of the world doing exactly what it was made to do. It's strange how peace can be the first thing the dark takes from you. I miss that specific kind of calm, the normal kind, the kind that isn't scanning the shadows between tree trunks for something that shouldn't be there. I wish I'd savored it more, being ignorant, safe in a way I didn't know could be taken from me. That morning, we were deep in the Brush Creek Trail system, double-checking a report of a downed bridge on the North Loop. Joel was hauling some makeshift repair gear, and I was making jokes about how if we accidentally wandered into a Blair Witch situation, he was the one with the axe, so I should survive longest. We'd just crested a low ridge, sunlight pouring over the mossy floor in sheets, when Joel stopped walking. He didn't say anything, just stared. I followed his gaze. This was the day we found the stairs. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, maybe a fallen tree casting the wrong kind of shadow. But no, as we stepped around the edge of the ridge, there it was, a staircase, just standing there. It couldn't have been more than 15 steps high, maybe 6 feet wide, made of pale, weathered wood too clean for the forest. It looked as though it had been cut from a different reality and pasted into ours. Perfect angles, unwrought, not a speck of moss. Nothing around it suggested there had ever been a building. No old foundation, no debris, not even disturbed earth at its base. Just forest floor and that impossible structure, rising out of it like a question. Joel squinted at it, unfazed like always. It's probably part of some old hunting lodge. I didn't move. Then where's the lodge? He shrugged, adjusted the strap on his pack, and stepped toward it. Wait. My voice came out sharper than I meant, but Joel stopped. Something about this, everything about it was wrong. The forest had gone quiet. No breeze, no bird calls, just that soft, unbroken hush. The kind of stillness that doesn't feel peaceful. The kind that listens back. I swallowed, and that's when I noticed it. A faint metallic tang on my tongue, like I'd licked a battery. The air felt dense. Not warmer, just heavier. Like it carried weight, pressure, something not meant for lungs. Insects should have been buzzing. A place this deep in the woods should have had humming mosquitoes, the occasional dragonfly, flies hovering around our sweat. But there was nothing. Absolute stillness. Joel turned to me. You okay? I forced a nod, though I couldn't take my eyes off it. Something in my gut, deep and cold, was pulling hard at me to back away. Not just fear. Something older. Some bone-deep instinct screaming that the shape was all wrong. That structures don't grow out of nature this way. That it wasn't ours. Joel took another step. Just one. Don't, I said louder this time. He paused, looked at me over his shoulder. For once, he actually looked uncertain. I just want to check if anything's under it, he said. Maybe raccoons or... No, you don't. We shouldn't. I didn't explain. Couldn't. Even now, I don't have words for the bone-tightening anxiety that clawed through me. It felt like if he touched it, if either of us did, something would wake up. We stood there in silence, both of us staring at it. Joel trying to rationalize, me trying not to breathe too loud. Finally, he shook his head and muttered, "Creepy as hell," before backing away. We marked the coordinates and left. We should have kept walking, but the stairs follow. Joel didn't let it go. That staircase sparked something in him, a kind of fixation that grew louder with each passing day. He started digging through internet forums, Deep threads buried under usernames with numbers instead of names. Obscure ranger logs. Half-deleted Reddit posts with titles like, "Why are there stairs in the woods?" Or, "If you see them, don't climb." I tried to brush it off at first. Everyone reacts to weird things differently. But Joel, he wasn't reacting. He was searching. And whatever he thought he was looking for, he was finding pieces of it in stories that were too similar to ignore. Staircases in forests, ones that moved between sightings, ones people found by accident but never refound again. And then one weekend, months later, he called me. "I need to go back." "No," I said instantly. "Joel, we shouldn't even talk about it." "They moved," he said. "I checked the coordinates from our last hike. They're not there anymore." I didn't want to ask how he knew that, but I heard the rustle of his gear over the phone. He had already packed. Against every instinct I had left, I joined him. And sure enough, they'd moved. Nearly a half-mile north. Nestled between trees that shouldn't have been there. Literally. I'm not exaggerating when I say I recognized a clump of old birch we'd marked weeks ago. But now they bordered the clearing, like the forest had rearranged around the stairs, and wanted them seen again. They looked the same, identical, weatherless, untouched, waiting. Joel didn't hesitate. "Don't," I told him, my voice barely holding together. "You don't understand. They don't just lead up. They lead away." He looked at me, something unspoken hanging on the edge of his face. Fear, curiosity, or something stranger. Then he climbed, step by step, without a word, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Around the sixth step, the air changed. The light dimmed, not like clouds passing, but like the color of the sky had drained slightly wrong. The saturation of the forest flattened out. I remember blinking hard, thinking I'd gotten sweat in my eyes. But no, it was real. When he reached the top, he stopped, frozen. He stared into something I couldn't see, breathing unevenly. There was something waiting at the top. He leaned forward ever so slightly, like listening. And then he said something I'll never forget. Not because of the words, but because it wasn't his voice anymore. High, trembling, almost childlike. "I remember you." I screamed for him to come down. A moment passed. When he descended, he moved too fast. Like each step burned. He hit the forest floor hunched, gasping. I ran to him, but I didn't touch him, because something watched from behind his eyes. Just for a second. I won't tell you what he saw. I won't repeat what he mumbled before he blacked out. But I wish I could forget the sound he made when he came back down. That was the first sign something was now following us. Joel didn't talk about what happened on the stairs. Not directly. Not ever. When he woke up that night in the cabin, shivering, soaked in cold sweat, he just looked at me like he didn't remember walking out there at all. But something had come back with him, tucked behind his eyes, folded between his bones. He wasn't Joel anymore. Not entirely. Started small. He'd pause mid-conversation like he'd just lost track of time. Breathing shallow, eyes unfocused. Sometimes when I asked if he was okay, there'd be this tiny hitch in his expression. Like whoever I was talking to had to blink before remembering how to be Joel. He stopped sleeping. Or maybe it's more accurate to say he'd lie down. But his body never seemed to rest. I'd wake up late into the night and find him sitting on the porch railing, perfectly still, staring out into the trees. Once, I caught him smiling. To nothing. No sound. No apparent reason. Just this slow, amused curl of his lips, eyes wide, as if someone had just whispered a joke from inside his skull. Wildlife started avoiding us. We were used to the usual signs of deer trails, raccoons near trash bins, birds nesting in the pines. Now, nothing. Not a rabbit. Not even bugs. The woods fell into this heavy stasis. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your skin prick, as if the land itself is waiting. And the trees, they started to lean. I don't know how else to describe it. On clear mornings, I noticed it first outside the cabin. Trunks angled just slightly, all toward Joel, like a dozen observers craning their necks, drawn forward. Centuries-old pines shifting in place, bending against the laws of wind and weight. He began mumbling to them. Well, Reverend. I pressed my ear to the bedroom wall one night and heard him whispering on the other side. I remember. Yes, I won't forget again. I know the names. There were moments I wanted to shake him, to scream at him to snap out of it. But something told me no, that would make it worse, because I'd started hearing things too. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the whispers didn't move with the air. They pulsed from a direction, from a distance always behind me. One night, I followed them into the trees. That's when I saw the stairs again. Closer this time, just off the path near our cabin. Waiting. Each day they appeared nearer. They weren't content being found anymore. They were looking. There are rules. The stairs have rules. Once you've seen them, they see you back. And if you hear them in your dreams, like I did, you'll wake up already facing the tree line. I couldn't let them get any closer. I tried to burn them. That's when I learned the truth. I told myself it was about protecting Joel, about ending whatever hold the stairs had on him. But if I'm honest, a part of me, maybe the most dangerous part, just wanted this over. Wanted the tension gone, the whispers silenced, the feeling I couldn't breathe even in open air to stop. So I filled 2 canisters with kerosene, packed an old flare and matches, and made my way out before dawn. The air was wrong from the first step off the porch. Thick, heavy, like I was walking through molasses. Sounds muffled under an invisible fog. My boots crunching too loud on the pine needles, like the forest wanted me to hear myself, but nothing else. The stairs weren't where I'd last seen them. I thought they'd moved again, and for a moment, part of me hoped they were gone. Then I saw the fog, dense, unnatural, squatting between the trees like a waiting breath. And through it, barely visible, the staircase stood, pale, perfect, watching. I stepped forward, and the air shifted. It's hard to describe, like the world stretched. I'd walk 20 feet, and the stairs would still seem the same distance away. My watch ticked too slowly, or maybe I was moving too fast. I'd blink and find myself breathless, legs sore like I'd been hiking for miles uphill. But I hadn't gone far at all. Still, I pushed on. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but that's what it wanted. I gritted my teeth, staggered through the last few yards, and poured the kerosene without ceremony. Drenched the base, doused the steps up to the top. The matches struck, and the flare hissed in my hand like it was angry. When the fire touched the wood, it didn't crackle, didn't roar. It just ignited, quietly. The flames ran up the stairs like they already knew the way. Silent except for the faint hiss of vaporizing sap. Except the stairs had no sap. No insects fled. Nothing screamed. At least not right away. The smoke rose straight into the air. No drift. No scent of charred pine or fuel. It moved like something under command, a signal instead of consequence. Then the screaming started. Not loud, not human, or worse, too human. Voices layered in the fire, crying inward, like the flames were a tunnel and something at the bottom was begging upward. Names I recognized echoed in the distance. Joel's, my own, voices I hadn't heard since childhood. My father's. My college roommate's laugh twisted into a sob. None of them were here, and no matter how far I stepped back, the sound stayed close, like it lived behind my ears. I didn't stay to watch it burn out. Couldn't. But when I stumbled back into my yard, panting and covered in ash, Joel was standing on the porch, and he smiled, still covered in dirt, but his boots were clean. Almost new. That was the night I started hearing the footsteps behind me, even when I was alone. Joel disappeared 2 days later. No note, no signs of struggle, no packed gear, no boot prints on the trail leading away from the cabin. Just gone. Like something had plucked him out of the world without a sound. It was early morning when I noticed. His bed was too neatly made, the way he always left it before a hike. But his pack was still by the door, untouched. His radio was off. His coffee mug was still half full on the porch rail, cooling beside a smudge of dirt. Called and called. Got no answer. I checked the trails, the river crossing, the fire tower a mile up. Nothing. Reporting him was the worst part. Watching the deputy take notes like this was just another case of some guy who wandered too far and got lost. Joel wasn't lost. He'd lived in the woods longer than I had. He taught me how not to get lost, no matter how many hours the official search ran. Drones, dogs, even helicopters, they never found a trace. No scent trail, no gear, no fishing line or trash or footprints. It was like he never existed. The stairs were gone too. I hiked back to the burn site, just a clearing. No charred wood, no ash, no sign they'd ever been there. The forest was too intact, as if that space had always been empty, and I'd only imagined something out of place. But I still saw them. Not directly, never directly. Once at the grocer's, reflected in the freezer door glass across from the beer aisle. Another time on the back road to town, just barely visible between passing trees. Only when I wasn't looking straight at them, always in my peripheral vision, always waiting. Some nights, I woke to phantom footsteps on the porch, heavy and slow, boots that stopped just outside my window. Sometimes I heard Joel's voice on the radio, static-drenched, choked, laughing, or calling my name in that strange, not quite Joel voice he came back with. But no one else ever heard it. The search ended after 9 days. They wrote a report, closed the case, sent a counselor. I didn't answer the door. That week I barely ate. I stopped logging my ranger shifts. Out here, time is only measured by the sun, and when everything you trusted starts slipping through your hands, sunlight feels cheap. I just sat on the porch, alone, and watched the woods. And that's when the guilt really sank in. Because no matter how many stories I'd read, how many signs I'd ignored, how deep the dread had already dug into my skin, I let him climb. I could have dragged him back. Could have warned him before. I should have burned the stairs the same day we found them. I should have warned them sooner. But I didn't. And now I'm warning you. If you've made it this far, I need you to listen closely. This part isn't just a story. You don't get to be an observer anymore. There's something you need to understand, something people never think about until it's too late. Knowing about the stairs is dangerous. Hearing about them, even just once, plants the seed. That's the rule no one warns you about. The moment you know they exist, they know you do too. You may already feel it. That itch in the back of your skull. That tingling beneath your skin when you pass a wooded area. That impulse to look into the trees, even if there's nothing there. Yet, because once you've heard about them, really heard about them, they start looking back. I'm not saying you're doomed or marked or cursed, not just from hearing my voice, but if you ever see them in person, that's when the real game begins. And if you're one of the unlucky few who already has, you need to understand, they're not stairs. They never were. They're thresholds, invitations, traps designed to look like doors you willingly walk through. Burn them before someone climbs, before something climbs out, before someone you love hears that voice that sounds almost familiar and answers it. But I won't lie to you, fire doesn't always work. Sometimes it's too late. Sometimes all it does is draw their gaze. But it's better than waiting. Here's how you'll know if they've noticed you. You'll hear footsteps, not once but repeatedly, behind you in empty places, matching your pace, stopping when you stop. You'll feel watched in your own home, especially just before dusk. Corners might seem a little too deep. Your reflection in the window might blink slower than you do. You'll lose time, not hours, just seconds. You'll find yourself standing in a room you don't remember entering. Forget what you were talking about halfway through a sentence. Eventually, you'll see them, a flicker through the trees on your way to work, a staircase reflected in a black mirror where only your kitchen should be, a half glimpse at the end of an unfamiliar trail on a day you swore you weren't hiking. They'll wait. They always wait, but not forever. So if you're reading this, if you've seen something, say something. Post in the comments. Compare details. Someone else may have seen stairs like yours. Someone might know how long you've got. We can help each other while we still can. Tell me if you've seen them, please, because lately I've started seeing new ones pop up near town. Different wood, sharper angles, taller, and I think whatever they are, they're building or calling. Wait, hold on. There's someone on the porch. No, they're not knocking. They're waiting. Silence. Cut to black.